Views right across the Boro fan base. The most inclusive footy fan pod around. This is the Big Red Boro Pod.
Oh, it is. Held together by sticky back plastic, some elastic bands, and some great company as well. So let's see if we can get through this. We've got... Well, I'm sitting in the hot seat, and it's very hot, I tell you, because the last 20 minutes I've been running around like a loon. Adam Bragg, good to see you.
Good evening, mate.
How are you, mate?
See you.
Well, our new host, so... I mean, I'll press the buttons tonight and then we'll work you into this chair.
Let's see if I can get as confused and worked up as you have this last 15 minutes.
Have I been worked up? I thought I was like the old...
You're pretty cool.
I was the old swan on the surface, but yeah. Kicking like hell now. Robert Nicholls from Fly Me to the Moon, are you, Robert?
I'm all right, thank you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, mate. It's always a pleasure. You've always got a tale to tell as well about his archaeology and history and doing all this interesting stuff. But we're here to talk Boro. Absolutely, here to talk Boro. We also have joining us. It's Dicko, Steve Dixon, Wallsend Dicko. How are you, mate? Are you all right?
Yeah. Evening, gentlemen. Pleasure to be on.
Good to have you with us, mate. So let's have a look at this. We've got loads of cameras and stuff. So I'm going to be sitting here pressing buttons. So when Adam talks, I've got to do that. When Robert talks, I've got to do that. And when Dicko talks, I've got to do that one. Yes, it works. Technology works. So we'll all be sorted by the time we get to next week and hopefully bedding Adam in. So, fellas, look, it is the Big Red Boro Pod. The whole idea of this, lads, is we've noticed a lot of people are doing some great work. I mean, you were there at the start with the Fly Me to the Moon board, Robert. Fly Me was the place where Boro fans would congregate. Yeah. This was after IRC chat rooms. That was a long time ago. Do you remember the Tim lad from Hong Kong?
Yes, Tim Lloyd.
Tim Lloyd. So yes. he did that. He was involved in an IRC chat room in the very early days of the internet. I'm confusing everybody massively now because I'm that old. But Robbie was there with Fly Me to the Moon. Dicko, I know you've been involved with 12th Man and all the stuff there that you've been doing and you're now on your own. Adam's doing all sorts of stuff. He's playing music, he's doing Boro chat things, he's doing red things, he's doing all sorts of stuff, so it's good to have you with us. And every week we're going to invite different fan groups on. So that's the whole point of this, that's the whole idea of this, to try and promote what everybody's doing individually. So far, Middlesbrough Supporters South, they're saying they're going to be on next week. We've got Boropolis lads, we've got 12th Man lads, we've got obviously Fly Me to the Moon's involved, they're here this time. I'm trying to think, I've forgotten somebody. Middlesbrough Supporters South, I've said, Boro Supporters Club, and many more. So people are contacting us, and it really is all about integrating the Boro fans and promoting what everyone's doing. So all that gubbins is over because it's brand new. We had to try and explain things. Let's get into the football. Let's do what we're doing between 6 and 7 on a Thursday, which is chatting about the Boro. Ads, I'll start with you. Obviously, we're coming off the back of a bit of a tonking, thrashing, hammering, whatever you want to call it. Stoke City without the cup. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. It was. Do you know when I first heard that we were going to be playing a team of young lads who were on the fringe, I thought, you know what, that actually might be quite exciting. And we did start off full of enthusiasm, full of energy. I thought we were the better side in the first half, without doubt. But Michael Carrick is absolutely spot on. Football is ruthless. And they've had a couple of good acquisitions. That Kumas they've got on loan from Liverpool absolutely ran the show. Yeah. And they punished us in a 15-minute crazy spell. Am I that bothered? Dare I say it? Are we going to be using cliches while we're on air all the time? We can focus on the league. But then the problem I've got, Rob, is that we're not that good in the league at the moment either.
Yeah. Bit of a mixed bag in the league, isn't it?
It is. Are you concerned, Rob?
No, I'm not concerned. I'm hoping those young lads that they don't take it to heart. Because what was it, 3 17-year-olds and a 16-year-old, and the keeper making must have been his competitive debut at the Riverside, having been at the club for years. I hope none of those players take it really badly, because it's not nice to concede 5 goals, especially the way the way the Avalanche went in the second half. But I'm not sure whether it will impact us at Cardiff. Well, we'll find out soon enough. But hopefully we switch the team around and we go there and get our first away win, because that's important.
I kind of do though, Rob. I mean, I hope they don't get affected in a bad way, in a negative way. I completely get what you're saying, but I want them to be galvanised from that.
I see. Yeah.
I want them to realise how harsh, how tough this level of football can be. And sometimes, this is, again, I'm reading all the cliches out already.
Yeah.
You learn the most from your defeats, without a shadow of a doubt. And I think as much as we moved the ball around well and we were attacking minded, we really need to learn how to close games down, how to make sure that teams don't overrun us, how to make sure that we get into positions to protect each other. And some of the lads just looked a little bit naive, a little bit innocent. So I hope you're right that they don't get detrimented or damaged by this, but I also hope they take something steely from it and grow.
The one thing I took from it was, and Dicko, I'm going to throw this one to you, mate, where it seemed to go wrong wasn't when we were full of youngsters. It was the second half. We made a couple of changes at half-time. We brought in Engel, we brought in Izzy Jones, and took a couple of youngsters out. And then it seemed to fall apart. I mean, Dicko, where did you see the problem of Tuesday night falling?
Well, I was really disappointed, to be honest. I take Adam's point, but I was disappointed because, the only trophy we've ever won is the League Cup, and it was the greatest day I've had as a Middlesbrough supporter, and I don't forget that. And I think Middlesbrough, showed the hand on Tuesday night that the league's the priority, promotion's the priority. I know we've got a few injuries, and he was in a bit of a predicament, Carrick, is what to do. But I just thought he made too many changes. He went too far. I thought he got it really right at Leeds with a nice mixture and blend. And it turned out really well down at Elland Road. And I just thought after that excellent performance at Leeds, and on the back of getting to the semi-final last season, which had almost saved the season at one point, the League Cup run, when it was looking poor in the league, it saved the season. And I just thought thought there was too many changes. I thought to put 5 youngsters in was a huge ask. I don't think, in my opinion, it's done them much good, because a 5-0 thumping like that, I don't see that doing Harley Hunt at the back much confidence. I certainly don't see it doing Sol Bryn any good. I just thought it was a little bit disrespectful to put that side out. And I thought, 17,500 people, I'm not a great night, made the effort of going down to the Riverside, and I just thought they deserved a little bit better. I thought we needed a little bit more experience in the team to help those young lads. I would like to have seen a bit more of a mixture of a side starting, and then he could have brought a couple of youngsters on in the second half, the opposite of what he done. On your point regarding bringing on Engel and Jones and a few others, really when the game was almost dead, when some of them were coming on, when he brought on Conway and stuff, which I couldn't understand. If you're trying to rest players for a difficult game at Cardiff on Saturday, I didn't see the point when he started bringing on Conway and Morris. I didn't see the point in that whatsoever. However, the players he brought on didn't cover themselves in glory. Engel had an absolute shocker of a performance, a real nightmare display. Whether the signing of Neto Borges is been a factor in that, he just had a real poor night. And I just thought the lads that come in to stake the claim for the first team in Hamilton, Barlaser, Coburn, Sol Bryn, well, I don't think Michael Carrick will be using them in the starting 11 anytime soon after Tuesday night.
Dicko, I do agree with you. I was bamboozled by the changes, I have to admit. I mean, Engel was forced because of the injury to McCormick. We understand he went off with a bit of a knock. Do you think that he brought some of the more experienced lads on to save the young lads an absolute pasting? Because I was watching it thinking they could have as many goals as they wanted. Do you think he did it to kind of just protect them a little, get them out the firing line?
Possibly, maybe just to get a few older heads around talking to them and trying to see them through. But in all honesty, it didn't really work, did it? It was it was a bad night for Middlesbrough, and I take your point. It's done. We'll move on to Cardiff. If we go down to Cardiff and beat them on Saturday, it'll be quickly forgotten. However, I just thought it was a missed opportunity. I think we could have got through. If we had got through the draw that we would have had, if it was at Fleetwood, it would have been another little cup run on my hands. And you can't just disrespect competitions like that, because it's not like we're pulling up trees in the league at the minute either. If you lose at Cardiff on Saturday, we're looking at another yet again poor start. So let's hope the boys get it right on Saturday against Cardiff, and then we can start looking up the league and life will look a lot better. And
that is the important thing, isn't it, Robert? The league performances. I mean, we all love a good cup run. We had a great one last year, ending at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but we're not going to get one this year. No. So I don't know. Is it? We look at last season, and we always talk about last season as being so close. If we haven't had the bad start, look where we would have finished. We could have got into the playoffs. Now we've got that chance to focus on that, haven't we?
Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. The cup run really helped us last season until we played Chelsea, when injuries in that first leg against Chelsea cost us dear. Probably cost us at a time when we were just starting to put games together again. Then because injuries was the big thing last season after the start, but yeah, it's very, very early, isn't it? And I think Michael Carrick underlined that at the press conference today, that really it's that we're not being clinical enough. We are making mistakes. I'm talking about in the league, but it's a long haul in the season, and it's about how we put those things, how we correct those mistakes as we go along, because it's where we're looking well ahead. We've only just started.
Yeah, but how far ahead, Rob, do you look before you do start to get worried? Because look at some of the stats that we've seen. We've got we promised we wouldn't talk about XG and things, Dave. If you look,
I'm far too old to be talking about XG.
If you look at the amount of possession we've had in all of our games, if you look at all of the chances we created in all of our games, we've got 0.08% chance conversion, which is the worst. You like that stat, Dave?
I'm struggling with assists. Never mind XGs and points conversion.
That is the worst stat. We've had something in the region of 70 chances that are worthy of being called chances, good chances.
Yeah.
The number of shots we've had are ridiculous. When does the inability to convert those chances, you said looking ahead, when does it start to become a concern?
Well, we thought when we walked out of Ellen Road, I'd never seen anything like to hammer Leeds at Ellen Road. It's just like that. I've never ever seen it in the whole of my time that to that extent. And we were putting everything away. And we missed some chances. We could have won 6-0, but it didn't matter because we'd put 3 away. I think we've signed players, haven't we? Whether some of the players
we've got options up front now.
We have.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, whether that puts pressure, I think. You mentioned, there's pressure on other players. It was a weaker side than when we went to Leeds, but most of those players were playing at Leeds. Morris was probably a big difference between the two, and I think once again, every time we always think we've got Johnny Howson's successor, but when Johnny Howson gets injured, it really reduces the options at the back and the midfield, and we desperately. I think it's a good chance he's going to be playing at Cardiff, and we need him, don't we?
Without doubt, for me, Johnny Howson is the heart of this team, and you've just touched on it there, Rob. Absolutely, it's not just what he does as a midfielder, but he starts everything going forward. Everything moves through him. He's the kind of linchpin, but he's also exceptional at spotting and sniffing out danger. And I think Morris, as much as I've thought he's been outstanding, has really got some big boots to fill if he's going to be.
I think he's still settling. Morris is still settling.
There's still more to come. Do you think Dave Morris is a Johnny Howson replacement? Do you think there's a battle on the hands here if we're going to have Hackney back in the team? If, of course, touch wood that he doesn't go to Tottenham, which is, again, not going away.
I think he's more of a replacement for Johnny Howson than Barlasser is.
Yeah.
He reminds me a bit more of an Adam Clayton than a straight Johnny Howson with the way he plays. I like him. I think he's got a lot going for him. I think he's settled really quickly. I think he's proved he can deal with the Championship, and he looks like he's really enjoying himself when he's out on the field because it is a brand new experience. The MLS is nothing like the Championship. It's stronger, it's more physical, you get less time on the ball, and I think he's ideally suited to it. I think he's a great signing, and I think there's more to come out of him.
Dicko, you mentioned Engel in your bit of a summary of the game the other night. For me, Engel has been a concern. Do you think that we've got a decent? I want to use the word replacement, but I don't think he's a replacement for Engel, is he? The Brazilian lad Borges. I think he is without doubt who we should play because I don't think Engel's anywhere near. What do you reckon, Dicko?
I don't think Engels is good enough if you're looking to be I don't like Middlesbrough fans this season talking about the playoffs because with the squad we've got, I think we should be at the moment, until we're out of it, we should be looking at the top two positions. And I don't think Lucas Engel, if you want to challenge the top two and possibly even the top six, is of the required standard. I don't think he's quite good enough. He's obviously got a problem with his confidence because when he first started off, he went to pieces at Sheffield Wednesday, and I thought he went to pieces on Tuesday night. And I think probably Neto Borges coming in had an effect with that. But for me, moving forward, you've got to give Borges the chance to stake his claim and start playing a run of games. And I know it's early days, but I would like to see him go straight in the team at Cardiff because Engel looks bereft of confidence. We've had this problem right throughout Michael Carrick's time at the club, for me, that we're not clinical enough. I think we're not ruthless enough. We've lacked leadership. Interesting that you mentioned Johnny Howson missing. And yes, I agree, Howson's better in and around the team. I don't think we've particularly missed him on the pitch because I agree with you boys. I think Morris is looking a good signing and Hayden Hackney's a quality player. So moving forward, I'd still rather go with Hackney and Morris and Howson coming in and out of the side. But I still think we're probably missing Howson's leadership qualities in the dressing room and on the bench and coming on for 10-15 minute cameos. We've just had this soft underbelly where if we're in a bit of a battle or lesser teams put 10 behind the ball and make it difficult for it, we seem to have all the possession, we're creating chances, but when we're not clinical, we seem to pay the price too often. And it's a real problem and conundrum for Michael Carrick because as yet he hasn't quite worked it out. And it's interesting that Rob was saying that he mentioned that in his press conference. And unfortunately, until he does work it out, it's going to be a real tough ask to hit the ambitions of what a lot of supporters are expecting this season.
Last season, Dicko, it's interesting you say that because last season for me was frustrating in that anyone that came to the Riverside or anyone that just played this way, that this modern term of the low block, I like to call it parking the bus or just limiting the space. Anyone that did that, we seem to really
low blocks, XGs. Come on.
Got to keep the kids interested.
I'm old school, man. I'm old school.
Anyone that did that to us, we seem to really struggle to break down. And I wonder if that's why we've looked to players a little bit more like Bergzog, who's got something a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more dynamism about him, and Conway in particular. However, I'm still concerned, and I don't know if you feel this, Rob, that you mentioned Leeds. We went to Leeds and pulled them apart. Why did we pull Leeds apart and we couldn't pull Pompey apart? Why couldn't we pull Swansea apart? Why couldn't we pull Derby apart? Because if a team defends against us, we haven't got the tools. Against Leeds, we've got the tools to play against a team that can play. This is a typical Boro problem, isn't it? Has Carrick, as Dicko suggested, has Carrick got the tools to start looking at how to break teams down when they just want to come and stop us? Because genuinely, I worry about how many teams are going to come here and say, I know how to beat this team. Well,
we had that, obviously, Latif scored game after game at the end of last season, didn't he? And that makes a big difference if you've got a striker that's
make people worry.
Yeah. Obviously, the season before you had Chuba Akpom scoring more goals than anyone's ever seen, and so if you've got a player like that, and then if we've got Latif and Conway's got a really good goals record. Let's see how he settles. He looks dangerous. It's sometimes maybe having Howson on the field. Some of those final balls aren't that great. I think that was something really evident in Derby for me. That a lot of the
choices poor.
Yeah, maybe he's somebody that has a word or whatever with those players. But I felt actually that like Engel, there was other senior players that didn't really do themselves or the team much justice on Tuesday. Luke Ayling was the captain, came off half time. I didn't think he played that well, and people were sort of diving in to challenges in a sort of naive way, and it wasn't just the young players. A lot of the goals came from the other side to Harley Hunt, to be honest. So it was kind of like repeating the mistakes again and again. So hopefully we get all of that out of our system early on in the season.
We need to. Let's get a few comments in from the fans who are watching on Facebook Live. And if you want to WhatsApp us, you can WhatsApp us into the studio, 0330 043 2002. You can call on that number if you want to be part of it as well. Fallows just says Borough. Hiya, mate. Patrick says, Patrick Wheatley, hi lads, I think we need to put Conway in for a Zaz for the Cardiff game. What do you think? Stu Gawley, nice to see you, Steve. Dicko, you've obviously got a fan, mate. You've got a fan there. Nice to see you. Stu Gawley's in Canada.
Watch my socials next week. I've got some news coming out, so get on X. Watch my socials next week. I've got some big news coming out.
And that's what we've got. Look, that, if you get out a plug, fellas, get it plugged. Rob, if you do anything with Fly Me or your archaeology or whatever, mate, get it plugged. Get it plugged.
Whilst we're just making a plug, can I?
Oh, here we go.
You picked up a copy of Fly Me to the Moon, didn't you?
Yeah,
and you made a little point towards a not getting carried away issue. Dear me, how stupid do I feel now? Because I thought we were going to storm this league.
So did I, and I still do. But I'll always think we're going to storm this league. That's just the way I am. Just have a look at a couple more. Patrick Wheatley said, for the Stoke game, I thought we were very poor. Many changes made. I think Coburn needs to go out on loan. I just all the players who played and started were very poor. Conway should be starting. For the transfers, I think we need centre back, maybe one more player, maybe Tom Cannon. Interesting one. A couple more coming in. Ian Robinson, however, better to be making chances than not. I think we're being a bit negative, guys. Last week we battered Leeds with a similar team, and that's a decent shout, actually. Here we are, all concerned. Is it a good start? Is it not a bad start? But it's early days, and we are creating chances. Is it not just a case of it will click at some point, Robert? Is it going to click? Are we just going to start converting them like we had that night at Elland Road?
I think so. I think we've. The question was, has Carrick got the tools? Well, he's certainly assembled a really good squad, and on paper at the moment, it's a really good squad. And I think maybe it needs just to knit together, and there's some things that need to be ironed out. But we haven't seen much of Conway yet, and we will do. He may well be as the Facebook person said, that could be it could be making a step. Patrick, he could well come in to start against Cardiff. I'm not sure what his best position is. I don't know, but he scores goals, doesn't he? And he creates goals as well. So, and he creates a bit of mayhem. In the box.
He's a powerful, aggressive kind of footballer, and I think that's a good point. That he creates problems. The Ian Robinson there is we call him the wise man. He sits near us at the Riverside. We call him the wise man. And he often is wise. He's old. And often wisdom comes with
don't bring age into this.
Yeah. But he's right that it's better to be creating chances we're missing. That is a very good point, because I'd hate to be in a position where we look lost and don't look like we've got.
That would be the worst position.
That would be horrid.
We're not scoring and we're not creating. That would be the worst position.
Yeah. And I suppose we're talking about whether Conway could come in for Azaz. And we've yet to see the best of Azaz, because he made the championship team last season, didn't he, from playing for Plymouth, and he terrorised us when we played down at Plymouth. So I'm sure that he's a player that's going to eventually really, really create a lot of chances for others and score some himself.
Well, he's created the most chances for us so far. By quite a distance. He's been involved in a lot of things. I think his finishing lacks a bit of finesse, but that's exactly why you build a squad.
Well, didn't we start to see a bit of his finishing coming good towards the end of last season? He started bagging a couple of goals.
Got a great goal at Leicester away, I think. Which was it at Leicester away? He got that.
He's got Leicester and Preston.
And Preston.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need those players, because Latte can't take it on his own shoulders. I mean, as much as he was outstanding, he's the kind of explosive player that he will get some kind of injury along the way. You do need to change it up. Can I ask a question, Rob and Dicko? I've always been concerned with Carrick that sometimes it's great playing wonderful football. It's great moving the ball around. It's great pulling players out of position. It's great playing what you would call expansive football in this day and age. Sometimes, though, you're away at Derby. You've got 60-odd minutes left. Sometimes you've got to play percentage football. You've got to get the ball in the box. Do you think Carrick is a football snob? If you listen, Michael, apologies.
We love you.
Dicko, what do you reckon? Is he too much of a purist? Sometimes you just lump it in the box?
I've had this argument a few times. I think there's a time and a place. Sometimes, we've conceded goals at the back with Senny Dieng and centre-backs playing around in the last few minutes of halves, when, sometimes it's just, let's get the ball into the channels, let the strikers run into the channels, get the half-time with a 1-0 lead, or finish the game with a 1-0 win. And we'll continue to take chances. And my take is, if you continue to take chances, yes, sometimes it's going to come off for you, but sometimes it's not. And I think when you're talking about Michael Carrick, if you look at the start of the season, what's been with Achilles' heel has been individual mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's been Senny Dieng, whether it's been Isaiah Jones. I just think sometimes the players need to take more responsibility themselves on the pitch. If I'm a goalkeeper and Michael Carrick's, it doesn't matter what minute it is, you play out from the back, you give the ball to your centre-backs. I'm sorry, Mr. Carrick, if it's the 92nd minute and we're away at Leeds and we're 1-0 up and that ball comes back to me and I've got Leeds players bearing down on me and centre-backs wanting the ball, that ball's going in the channel for that to your lap.
Absolutely right.
Now, I'll have the argument with you at full time when we beat Leeds 1-0. It'll be an easy argument because we beat Leeds 1-0. What wouldn't be an easy argument for me as a goalkeeper, if I've given the ball to my centre-back, he's lost it and we've ended up ones each, and all the fans are on my case. So I just think sometimes footballers need to actually use more intelligence on the pitch. They don't have to be robotic. They don't have to be robots. They don't always have to do what Michael Carrick says to the letter of the law all the time. Sometimes you can be individual and use your own brain, and I think we lack that massively.
The big bald eagle does that.
Well, it's often linked though to leaders on the pitch, isn't it? You'd like to think experienced players like Johnny Howson will say, we're under the cosh here, lads, just launch it. I remember years back, Alan Hansen, when he was on Match of the Day, he made a great comment. It's always lived with me as a football fan. If you've got 3 chances, take the better option. If you've got 2 chances, take the best option. If you haven't got any chances, just stick it into row Z. And sometimes, as a centre-back in particular, especially for the Borough, just get rid of it. If that's your only option, get rid of it. And you're right, Dicko. Perhaps a couple of things you said there. We're missing a couple of leaders who just get hold of someone and say, just deal with it. Do you feel...
Look at Chelsea away in the League Cup. Sorry, just going to look at Chelsea away in the League Cup. We're clearly outclassed and we're the better side, and we're getting caught time and time again at the back with the ball. But Michael Carrick said, no, that's the way we play. I can't say to one of my players, you're good enough to play that way against Stoke or Derby, but when you play against Chelsea and the better players than you, you're not good enough to do it. So they've got to be able to do it all of the time, no matter who we're playing. Well, that sounds great in theory, but it doesn't work. And it is proven against Chelsea. We just got outclassed and got a embarrassing thumping by 6. At some point in that game, a Johnny Howson or whoever, surely he's got to say to the lads at the back, listen, get the ball into the channels, let's get these up. We can't continue for this to happen, but it didn't happen. And that, like you have said, that's still for me a slight concern when we're playing in big games against the better sides in a hostile atmosphere away from home. Are we actually good enough to play that way for 95 minutes?
There is a fine balance though, isn't there? Because I think the Matt Clark example, the Johnny Howson example in the last minute against Leeds and you 1-0 up, you put it in the channel for Latte to chase. That's different to trying to do it for 90 minutes against Chelsea.
Yeah.
You can say to your boss, Gaffer, I was under the cosh, we got 30 seconds left, I wanted to make sure it stayed 1-0 and we got the 3 points. but you've got to play like he asks you for 90 minutes of a game. There's a big difference.
I do feel that in particular this season, but also towards the end of last season, Engel has struggled in his position. He's struggled both going forward and going back, but I often think that's had a knock-on effect across the team. How many times have you seen us looking for an outlet? They turn to the left, see Engel free, and choose not to give him the ball. And I hope that Bangura would have solved that problem, and I really hope that Borges from Clermont solves that problem, because the balance hasn't looked right, and we've brought pressure on ourselves by not being able to trust him, perhaps.
He's got a great Borough accent, by the way. Did you hear him saying Borough?
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. Did you hear it?
No.
All he said was up the Borough.
Yeah.
But he didn't say up the Borough or up the Borough, up the Borough.
Yeah.
What a good lad. What a good lad. We like that. We do like that. We do like that. Fellas, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We've got some more comments as well. Stu Gawley's having a pop at me. Says Dave's like talking X-rated stuff. We'll come on to those comments and embarrass me. Absolutely no problem. We'll do that next right here on The Red.
The most inclusive footy fan pod around. This is the Big Red Boro Pod.
This is The Red.
We are back, boys. We've got Adam Bragg, Robert Nicholls from Fly Me to the Moon. We have Dicko, Wallsend Dicko. There he is, and it's good to see you, mate. And I love the idea of a big Borough fan having a Geordie accent. I love it, mate. I really love it. I'm sounding a bit like Kevin Keegan right at this moment in time. I love it. And you've got to put up with.
There's not many.
Go on, mate. Go on.
I was going to say there's not many of us.
No. Not many of we. What did you just say there? That's brilliant.
The Carrick brothers, of course.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Carricks. And both on our books now.
Yes, that's right.
We do like that. Fellas, I know we're talking footy, but we have a nice little. Hang on, are we there? Which camera are we on? We have a nice little book here, which arrived at Red Towers this week, and we had a big chat with Tosh Warwick from what's it called, heritageunlocked.com site, where he puts out a load of stuff. I mean, you must know him really well, do you?
Yeah.
Because I know you like a bit of local history and all that sort of stuff.
He's the history man.
But Gordon Rees, Sean Wilson and Tosh got together to bring together Middlesbrough on this day. It's a really good read, actually. This is basically a book that has a stat about the borough for every day of the year. So it's something in history every day of the year that borough got involved with. So where are we? Are we the 29th today?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. What happened on the 29th of August?
Didn't we go away to Derby County and win quite comprehensively?
Yay! Who'd have thought we'd given him sight of that during the ad break? After a draw and a loss in the opening fixtures, Borough produced a stunning away win. As how many did Alan Peacock score, mate?
He got a hat-trick, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he scored 4 in a 7-1 win at Derby County's baseball ground, as the Teesside had netted 5 times after the break. We need some of that this season.
Yeah.
Billy Day, Bill Harris, Eddie Holloway scored Middlesbrough's other goals.
God,
so
there's
that's your
some proper
stat.
British names, isn't there?
Yeah.
Never mind all this Fabrizio Ravanelli stuff. Yeah, indeed. Mind you, I did enjoy it when Janino, Emerson, Ravanelli, all those guys were gracing the pitch. So a couple of comments. Stu Gawley had a pop at me, but he said we should be concerned, as last season showed. We fell apart because of a poor start. Only positive for me this season so far is there's only one way down for the Mackems. We do not touch, right, let's set the ground rules here, and you're presenting this going forward. We do not touch Sunderland being successful on the show. All right, cool. Patrick Wheatley says, I think Engel needs to be dropped for Saturday. Ian Robinson, I think McCormick will be a player. Patrick's back on. Can we stop playing out from the back? It just doesn't work for us. Stu Gawley, need to be more direct running at defences instead of looking to put the ball in from the wing. Chris Holly, Jones to be benched. No, there's a different one. Start with Hamilton. Jones to be benched.
He was off the bench on Tuesday.
Hey, Chris, I saw you in that honky tonk place at the weekend, and you always talk sense, and I can't argue with you there either, man.
Well, there you go. He said a bit more. Start with Hamilton on the right. Conway to start, along with Latte Lath, Engel to never wear the shirt again. Now that's a bit harsh.
Yeah,
Chris.
I think
Come
it
on,
is.
Mate. Yeah, I think it's a bit harsh. But he's got a few points there. I mean, and one good one for me is Conway. You know, he's had a couple of games under his belt now, but not started and played 90 minutes for us.
No,
I'd like to see him do that.
And I did think I thought contrary to Dicko, I thought the substitutions made sense in the second half, because Conway's just got to get more and more minutes on the park, and I thought the reason he didn't start was because he's going to start against Cardiff for me. Because I thought, in many respects, it was an obvious one for him to start, but not if he's starting against Cardiff. And I'm not sure about Isaiah Jones, because I don't think he's done. I don't know whether it's knocked him back a bit, that error he made against Derby. But yeah, his final ball hasn't been great, and yet every game he plays, somebody hacks him down for a penalty, it seems. You know, even if you go back to the pre-season, the Heron Vane, there was 2 penalties on him, and then 2 in a row in home games. But yeah, we'd like to see him sort of delivering better. But I know you were talking about Micah Hamilton coming in, but he seemed to get a bit of criticism from other people who've been listening to the show for his display, admittedly from the left. But what we can see is a very different player to Isaiah Jones. It's not about pace with him, is it? It's the sort of tricky winger. To go back to a veteran, it'd be good, like a Terry Cochran sort of jinky winger.
I was going to say about Hamilton, we think around us where we sit at the Riverside, he looks a lot like a typical Man City winger.
Yes,
a very quick feet, touch like Grealish, looking for the angle, looking for the gap rather than just run at people. And I wonder if that's what Carrick's tried to do with Jones on the other side over the last couple of seasons, is to make him think more. I hope the pressure now on Jones, because the pressure is great with the choice we've got, brings out the best. We will only know whether the pressure brings out a diamond or whether the pressure brings out a bit of crumbling in him, because at the moment I'm not sure it's bringing out the best in him.
I've got to say, I think I've seen 2 great seasons of football. So there's a lot of minuses in that we haven't advanced. We're not in the Premier League, but we talk about Carrick's football. I've really enjoyed watching Carrick's football, and by and large, I've enjoyed some tremendous results as well from that. So I'm not coming down on him at all, because I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Dicko, you were about to say something about Jones there, I think, mate.
Well, Micah Hamilton, actually, I was just going to say I was really disappointed in his performance on Tuesday night. However, I didn't put it down to him. I think he's better off the right-hand side, and when I've seen him play in his cameo bits for Man City and this and the other, he's always looked dangerous on the right-hand side. When he scored for Man City in the Champions League, he was off the right-hand side, cutting in. I think he has got it in him to go past players on the right and take them on and put balls in the box. But I don't think he's natural on the left. And on Tuesday night, you could see every time he got the ball, it was step over, lay the ball inside, lay the ball back, and it was frustrating me. And the only time I thought we got a glimpse of what he could be like was the second half, when he got put in on the right hand side and got 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper, and he probably should have done better, and he hit the goalkeeper. I just think if he's going to produce the goods in a Middlesbrough shirt, which I'm sure he will, because he's obviously got an abundance of talent, I think it'll be from either the right hand side or even possibly in the number 10. But for me, on the left hand side, I think we're wasting his talent.
Yeah, and there's 4 of us on this conversation, all hoping he does it at the weekend. Yeah. There is one who's just joined us, who's probably hoping that Hamilton doesn't, come good for the Borough. We're joined by Si Willis. Si's a big Cardiff fan. I've known him for, he's got a full set now. I don't think you had that moustache and beard last time we spoke, mate, but it's good to get the Cardiff City view. How are you, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No. It's good for you to join us, mate. It's a brand new show we're doing where we're pulling all the Borough fan groups and fans together on a regular basis to get the collective view rather than it just be individual views. But every week we're gonna check in with the opposition's view. So you've got Borough coming down, mate. What you're expecting?
It's really interesting this season because. Although Cardiff results-wise have been, like it looks on paper, really poor, the performances haven't been that bad, and we still haven't been able to pick a squad of our new signings included. There's always been at least 2 of them either not fit or not ready. So we're kind of having a very slow start. Middlesbrough have had a bit of a mixed start, I understand, as well. So it's always an interesting game between the 2 teams anyway. The Andy Campbell derby, as we call it.
Yeah, indeed. We like to have had him on, actually, but he's all busy now with Thornaby FC, so we'll be getting him back on. Yeah, no, it's good to see him back in football. I mean, I don't know how much. I know you're big pals with Andy, so I don't know whether that means you do take a bit of a look at the Borough from time to time, mate. Have you picked up on any of the news? More signings coming in. We seem to have more options up front. The bookies again tipping the Boro to be up there at the end of the season. I mean, have you had any views on that? Are you expecting that same sort of pattern?
Yeah, I expected Boro at the start of the season when we did our predictions. I had Boro 5th and Cardiff 6th, I think it was, off the top of my head. So I think I expected Middlesbrough to be, competing for that playoff spot again. I think Michael Carrick's a tremendous manager, and I think even if you have a bit of a ropey start, I would like to think that you'll stick with him because I think he's one of the good ones. And, it can always be worse. The grass is not always greener.
Oh, we know that. We've had plenty of them in the past. Don't you worry, mate.
Si, how you doing? It's Adam.
Hi,
good to meet you, mate. I hope we stuff you at the weekend. You've got a very similar record to us so far this season. And we're not too different in points, and obviously from what you said there, you think we're going to end very similar by the end of the season. What's giving you that confidence? Because with all due respect, I haven't seen anything from your signings yet that give me the same confidence. What should we be worried about on Saturday?
Well, I would say Alex Robertson is now fit and playing. He's going to be massive. The one position other than a striker last year which we really kind of struggled with was having a number 8 to play alongside Siopis, someone who could progress the ball but also carry it and be a bit aggressive. And at 21, he's got the legs, he's got the energy, and he's certainly got the quality. Ruben Colwell's on fire at the moment. It's just whether the manager starts him or puts him on the bench. Most fans think that he should start over Aaron Ramsey at the moment, but the manager's loyal to the experienced players. In my opinion, I think we've got such a crop of young talent coming through that at some point he will be forced to use them because they're that good. It's just whether he does that sooner than later. But overall, like, we've brought all the players that we've brought in this summer, when they're up to speed and fit, they will all start, which means that we've not only improved the starting 11, but we've improved the squad depth as well. And I think, yes, it might take a few weeks, month maybe, to get going, but once we get going, I think it's going to be good. And I said to someone just yesterday, when it clicks this year, someone will get a real on the wrong side of it sort of thing, because I think we are going to be that competitive. And I like the fact that everybody is underestimating us, and I appreciate that.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I certainly am, Si. Rob, that sounds very much what Si's just said there about when it clicks, when everyone's in place, someone's going to get a beating. We've been feeding the same. How are we going to...
we did Leeds.
I was going to say, are we going down to Cardiff and expecting a beating then, Rob?
We always go to everywhere expected to win, and well, hoping to win. And yeah, I'm hoping that ominous prediction doesn't happen on Saturday. But I don't think it will. I think it'll be a good game. But hopefully we win it, because we're all having to get up really early to go to your place. 12:30 kickoff. Yeah.
Who were you worried about, Si? Who were you worried about in our team that you particularly think might give you the run around if we are going to be the ones that dish out the spanking rather than be on the receiving end of one?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know if there's enough room in Siopis' pocket for everybody, so we'll have to have a look. No, I think I really like the left back that you signed a couple of days ago, but I don't know whether he'll obviously play this weekend.
Yeah,
I really like him. I was hoping that Cardiff might actually have a look at him, because we could do with a left back. But who's the lad that scored against Swansea? I forget his name. The striker.
Latte scored the penalty, didn't he?
Yeah.
I quite like him. There's a few in there. To be honest with you, what I like about the Middlesbrough team against some of the other teams is you have a very team orientated kind of thing. Like, I wouldn't say there's, that you've obviously got a couple of real quality players in there, but I like the fact that there's not like like a superstar in there that everything kind of goes through, or everyone revolves around. I just think I think it's going to be a really good game. I would say, like, and I would, Middlesbrough are professionals at the end of the day. They're not going to underestimate Cardiff. But if you speak to Burnley fans, they beat us 5-0, and they don't quite understand how they beat us 5-0.
Yeah.
We effectively made 4 mistakes, and they capitalised on every 4. And I think from a Cardiff point of view, if we cut out the mistakes at the back, will be very difficult to break down.
Tell you what, Si, this is Dicko. This is sounding more and more like Boro, isn't it?
I was just going to say, it's decided. It sounds like you're trying to do an impersonation, and a very good one of Middlesbrough, because that Burnley game sounds very much like Stoke the other night. And I looked in a little bit of Cardiff because we're playing here, and looked at some of the players you've signed, like Chris Willock and El Ghazi, Robertson. And I was looking at the signings and the money you've spent, and I wish I hadn't looked, because I was feeling reasonably confident going down there with your indifferent start. But after digging a bit deeper, and like you've said, looking at your performance levels, I think we're in for a tough game, especially with our injury concerns. So yeah, it's going to be a big match, I think, for both clubs, because I think Cardiff still sitting bottom of the table, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are, yeah.
So Cardiff really need to pick up a home win and the 3 points before the international break. Middlesbrough coming off a 5-0 hammering against Stoke in an indifferent 2-2 draw with Portsmouth at home. Really could do with 3 points to get the fans back up for what we're hoping is going to be a successful season. So I think it's it sounds ridiculous saying it's a big game at this stage in the season, only being a few games in, but
it's a big game, right?
Yeah, it is. I think it is for both clubs. I think it could be a damaging defeat for either side. So it's going to be a draw.
The teams at the moment, last season and the early part of this season, seem to get success against the Borough, parking the bus and trying to absorb it. What are we going to expect from Cardiff? Are you going to park the bus? Oh, I believe we
not at home. Sure,
we had a look at Willock last season, didn't we? Didn't we try and get him in the transfer window? So he is a good signing. What are we going to expect from you? Are you going to make it tough for us, or are you going to come at us?
I got to be honest, the way we defended in the first couple of games, probably not. But actually, like against Swansea, particularly in the second half, we were a lot better. And I think what we've done throughout the season is we've played well in glimpses, like 20 minutes, a half. But I think it will come together gradually. Whether that's a Saturday and we get a full performance is another story. I think what we have now we've signed 2 really good centre-backs to play alongside Callum Chambers in Will Fish and not Will Fish, sorry. Will Fish. I was getting him mixed up with someone else, sorry. And also Darland as well, the Norwegian defender. He looked superb against Swansea. So I think if we can keep a clean sheet, that would go a long way to sorting out the performances. But ultimately, in terms of what to expect, Errol Bullock likes to keep a hold of the ball, and we will, play a lot. We'll play out from the back, and we'll try and play through any press. And then what we will do is we'll try and pinch the ball around the halfway line and hit you fast with pace in the wings, and people like Aaron Ramsey or Ruben Corwell, Chris Willock. I wouldn't expect to see El Ghazi for anything more than a 15-minute sort of cameo towards the end. But it'll be interesting what side Errol Bullock picks, because last night the youngsters, he played a team of youngsters against Southampton, and they were outstanding. They came back from behind 3 times, and they only conceded 2 late goals to go out in the end to lose. They lost 5-3, but Ruben Colwell in particular he ran the game, and if I was a Middlesbrough fan, I would be hoping Aaron Ramsey plays rather than Ruben Colwell, because Ruben Colwell will cause a lot more issues. He's more mobile, he's more athletic. He's just the opposite to what you imagine a number 10 to be. Like, you think of a kind of short, technically excellent, small kind of footballer, and he's like 6'2", a big unit, and he's got all the technical ability to go with it, and he just sort of glides around the place. And I don't know if you saw his goal last night, but sort of 35 yards off the bar. He's got that in his locker. But with our striker's not fit is the one thing which I think will work in your favour, unless he goes with Callum Robinson, which I actually think we look better with a pacey striker than we do a target man. But Kanga is a new signing. He's not fit, but at the moment he seems to be playing like an hour and then taking him off, which is not the best for a striker, I don't think.
Okay, we're rapidly running out of time. While you're with us, Si, we might as well go the predictions. And obviously, it's going to be 4 against and 1-4 from a Cardiff perspective. But we'll start with you, mate. What do you reckon, scoreline wise? What you going to plump for?
It's difficult because if you'd asked me before the season started, I probably would have gone for like a 1-0 Cardiff. But we have been ropey at the back, and I just think Middlesbrough will score 1. So I'm going to go with 2-1 Cardiff, because I think I've seen a big improvement over the last week or two, and I think, like I said, I think it's starting to come together bit by bit.
Where we go next? Dicko, what's yours, mate?
I've got a feeling it's going to end up in a draw. I think it'll be both teams won't want to lose, but I think without Middlesbrough's defensive issues at the moment, I'll go for a Desmond 2-2.
Robert?
2-1. That's the score in Cardiff for Middlesbrough, isn't it? That's why Cardiff's everyone's favourite second home for Borough fans. That's where we won our cup, and that was the scoreline. 2-1 again on Saturday.
Adam?
I think I have to agree with Rob. I think we'll score goals. We will probably concede. I don't know the current status on Rav van den Berg, but we're missing him. The new lad starts at left back without doubt, so we really don't know what our back four is going to give us. They will score. And
there's interest from Fulham in Rav as well. So, if a significant chunky offer comes in, you never know. Might have played his last game for the Borough. We keep our fingers crossed because we hope not. But what was the scoreline you were going? 2-1 also. Well, I'll agree with Dicko's Desmond. I just think we're leaking too many, but we've got the opportunity and we've got the capability of scoring. So I'll go for a 2-2 draw, which doesn't help us that much. So brilliant stuff. Si, I really appreciate you joining us, mate. It's been a pleasure. And when you all come up here, we will give you another bell as well, and you can be telling us how high flying the Bluebirds are at the moment.
Well, hopefully it'll come together by then. I'm still saying it's going to come together soon, and then I have to start worrying. But no, I think both teams will do all right this year. Yeah,
brilliant stuff, mate. Thank you for that, fellas. We're out of time. Dicko, really appreciate you coming on, mate. And it's good to see you and to hear your Geordie tones. I mean, they're not Geordie. I'm probably offending you now. You're going to tell me it's a specific place, and as a smoggy, I just can't distinguish exactly where you're from. But no, it's great to see you, mate. And let's get you back on in the next couple of weeks.
Appreciate it. And as I say, look out on my socials, Wallsend Red Dicko on X.
Wallsend Red Dicko. Brilliant.
Yeah, have a look on X next week for some news.
Okay.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure.
Thanks, mate. Robert,
come back on again.
Appreciate it, mate. It's good to see you. What's Flyme doing? Is there anything to plug, or should we do that at another time?
Yeah, I'm doing something next Tuesday, 1:00 at Dorman Museum. Anyone's welcome to come down. We're launching some Borough guided walks around, and I'm going to take one around Albert Park. But other ones you can actually do on Google Earth on a computer screen in the museum.
Oh, we are getting high tech. He's struggling with anything more than assists. Yeah. So that's Tuesday at 1:00. Did you say?
Yeah.
What Tuesday? How can people find out more info?
I will put it on Flyme at the Moon, but there's press releases going out. So
brilliant. Thank you. Ads, back in next week, mate.
I'll see you next week.
Indeed we will. Thanks to everyone. It's been fantastic. That's the first one out, and they're going to get better. We're going to get bigger. We're going to do all sorts of stuff, and I'll stop stressing before we go live on air and trying to fix all the tech. There you go. Dave Eden's up next on the Red. We'll catch you soon.
This is the Big Red Boro Pod.